Hello, everybody. It's 6:30. Today is Monday, February 10, 2025, and I'll be calling the Planning Commission meeting to order. Tonight's meeting is being conducted both in person and online. Members of the public may attend in person, or the public may also watch this meeting online at burnsvillemn.gov/meetings. That's the city website, burnsvillemn.gov/meetings, or you can view us on Comcast Channel 16 or Channel 859. The public can also join on Zoom by going to zoom.us/join. Excuse me. More information is available on our meetings webpage and also on the agenda for today's meeting. Our first item today is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda from commissioners? Any changes from staff?
Not this time.
Seeing no changes, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I would love to make a motion.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
I would love to second that.
Motioned and seconded. We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from our last meeting, January 27th, 2025. Any changes from commissioners? Any changes from staff? Is there a motion? Move to approve. And a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, this is a public hearing. This is the application of Anan Barbarawi for a conditional use permit, CUP at 12901 Aldrich Avenue South. Presenting is Mr. Connor Jakes, our associate planner.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Great to be with you. The application before you is a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through at 12901 Aldrich Avenue South. However, the applicant had submitted plans for a proposed coffee shop, the Kumaria Yemeni Coffee Company. However, staff is requesting that the item be tabled as the applicant has indicated changes to their plans, and we need to allow ample time for staff review to ensure those plans meet city code. So at this time, staff would request that the commission table that item to a future meeting in the upcoming months.
Okay, and I believe we have to open the public hearing because we published for a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing right now at 6:32. And there is nobody in the council chamber that is wishing to speak to this. Is there anybody online that wants to speak to this? Okay, so we can then close the public hearing at 6:33, and then we table it by motion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we'd entertain a motion to table this item. So it is moved by Commissioner Hamilton. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So then the next item on our agenda, this is the Planning Commission 2025 Work Plan. And presenting today will be Mr. Mike Marosla, our Planning Manager.
All right, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. So 2024, a quick recap of the cases. We had 26 planning cases with 33 different approvals. I believe there was 11 or 12 PUDs, 9 preliminary and final plats, handful of variances, and a couple conditional use permits. However, the big items that were approved were 218 new units of affordable housing between 2 projects. The first one was 48 units at MWF. That's currently going up at the Diamond Head or the District Center. And then the other ones right across the street, 170 units, which was a lot combination final plat. That's going vertical by Rohr's companies. So that's pretty big project there. And then also the other ones, it's going to be taking place here hopefully in a couple months. City Hall and the Police Department remodel and expansion, a $100 million project to improve the facilities here. That'll be take over the next construction starting in May, 2-year project. Then also 4 zoning code text amendments were approved last year. I know the year started off slow, but we finished pretty strong. So going forward in 2025, the work plan is proposed is the first item that we'll be looking at is a neighborhood meeting policy Currently, the city does require neighborhood meetings, but we're gonna outline a policy to provide, direction to all applicants going forward. This policy will be then adopted as part of the zoning code updated or included as part of that, so it'll be formally adopted. So probably at the March meeting, I'm expecting this, I'll have a draft of that policy coming forward, or April at the latest, for feedback. And then the second item on here is Economic Development Strategic Framework. That there is mainly done by our Economic Development Commission and the City Council. However, the zoning code may need to be addressed as part of that. Again, an Economic Development Strategic Framework, as we like to call it in the office, the EDSF, is a plan that outlines the goals, priorities, and strategies for fostering economic growth and sustainability in the community. Staff's been working on this for quite some time. They are hoping to get it adopted in the first or second quarter of 25. And that will then have potentially some impact on our zoning code update, some overlay districts, or some other ways we can help assist in economic development via our zoning code. And then, next item on there is our zoning code update. Staff's been working on this for quite some time. I know you guys have worked on it as well. The goal is to get it across the finish line. So I know Connor kicked off looking at it this past week. Kevin and I will be joining him on that excursion here shortly. We are hoping to have this, some workshop sessions in the third and fourth quarters of 25 with formal adoption hopefully at the end of 25, maybe a little bit into 26. The newest item on this list is the community visioning. In December of 2024, the City Council created a new community vision initiative to engage and empower the community to have their voice in how they want their community to look in the future by asking this broad question of how do you want your city to look and feel in the next 10 years. This year is one of the things is a new staff person here. There's a lot of things going on in Burnsville. So this visioning process will help bring it all together into a nice package and then bundle it up. And that actually feeds right into the comprehensive plan that we're going to be starting here. Later this year, the Met Council will be sending out system statements, which is the official start of the comprehensive plan update. So that is a large lift by staff and everyone involved. It will start later this year and probably continue on until 2028 when it's formally adopted or submitted to the Met Council for adoption. So a lot more to come on that one and the community visioning. I think we'll get a lot more information as time goes on here and what the Planning Commission will do with those two projects. But I do expect to have a large amount of work with this body and those two projects. That is it for the work plan. The recommendations on the screen. I'm here for any questions if you have any.
Thank you for your presentation and thanks for organizing all that for us. Any questions from commissioners? Maybe I'll start off. The zoning code updates, are you modeling it after any other city code? Like every city, the code is written a little bit differently. And are you using, is there like a standard format, or is there a city that's done it really well that we're mimicking, or what's the, that's my question.
I got it. That's a good question, Chair. So previously the city has hired a consultant, WSB, to work on the zoning code update, and they did some formatting of it. However, we think we're going to take a different approach. Right now they have it all encompassing, everything's like in one area. For example, residential, it's like one pager and then all these subsections. Where we've seen success in the zoning code updates, in my experience, is if you go, each district has an individual section. So if I'm going to the R1, all the information for the R1's in one area. There's no going to multiple sections. So it may be some repeat in cases of some districts, but it's one spot for everything. So that's the approach that I've seen and I kind of liked in my time doing that. I know Plymouth does that, Woodbury, we recently did it in Cottage Grove. One thing that we also do take a look at as we're looking to update the code is other communities that just updated theirs. Rosemont has a brand new code. So we kind of look at for examples of what they did to implement.
Sure.
Obviously a different two different cities, one's growing, one's fully developed. So we just look for inspiration from all over the place and kind of try to make it work towards our needs.
I like everything on one, like the one section. As somebody that occasionally looks at the codes, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, staff has put a lot of time into before we started, so we're just trying to get it across the finish line. A lot of the things we're trying to do is simplify. It's not an overhaul, it's an update. So it's reorganization,
Okay.
it's readability, so.
Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner John?
Thank you, Chair. Are these items going to be all inclusive or into the 2050 comprehensive plan? So none of these would actually take place until 2050? These would be just building on this year? Is that the thought process?
Correct. A lot of it feeds into it. The zoning code will probably have to be amended again once the 2050 comprehensive plan is adopted. As state statute requires all municipalities, once they adopt their comprehensive plan, to update their zoning code to have it in conformance with the comprehensive plan within 9 months. So we'll have to do it again in 2029. However, what I have recommended we'll do going forward is we'll do annual reviews of our zoning code. So every year we'll look at items that can be fixed and corrected, or errors that we've noticed, and keep up the current times and conditions. So that's an annual review. I know staff has done that previously, looking back. I don't know if that was your direct question, but that's what we're thinking.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Commissioner Hamilton?
So the 5 items listed here, are all of them a work in progress, or is there any, but the framework has been developed?
Yes, Commissioner. They're all kind of a work in progress. They all have been started, and the economic development strategic framework's well underway. The zoning code has been looked at previously. The community visioning is new. That's a new process where we've just started that. Council's been talking about it. There's been an all-day workshop on it. We're looking for a consultant to come on board and assist with that. Same with the comprehensive plan. They kind of go hand in hand. So the thought is hopefully the firm that works with the community visioning can assist with the comprehensive plan update, because they kind of go hand in hand. The neighborhood meeting policy is a document that isn't going to be a new document. There may be a draft one out there as previously done. If there is, we'll update it to current to what we think the commission and city council thinks is the appropriate direction for it to go. But most of it's underway.
Commissioner Timmerman?
Can you give us a little primer on the neighborhood meeting policy? I mean, being listed first here makes it seem like it's a fairly high priority, when my understanding is most of the larger projects are already having these neighborhood meetings.
Yes, that's a good question. So what we're hoping to do here is formalize a policy. So when we get new applications in, for example, Sioux Trail Elementary redevelopment, there is a set standard. Instead of having to kind of, state statute requires notification 350 feet around a project. Most cities do that. We do that for our public hearings notices. Some communities up that to 500. But where do you stop? That's more or less the conversation that we'll have. And so the idea is that we get enough feedback from people directly impacted, but not people that aren't directly impacted. So it's kind of a balancing act. So the idea behind it is to have something written down so we can say, hey, it's a PUD application, comprehensive plan, you're within 500 feet of residence, you need to notify X amount of people. And then also tell the applicant of when they can hold them. For example, you don't want to hold them on planning commission days or city council. And also time frames. Usually you want to hold them at the evening time. So it provides the applicant clear direction on how to host a neighborhood meeting. And so that we can get feedback, the appropriate feedback that we need to improve the project or let the neighborhood and the surrounding area know about it.
Cool. And so we will not be holding a public hearing about this. It's just, you're just looking for a motion.
Mm-hmm. That's correct, sure.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners, or are we ready for a motion?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So on the neighborhood meeting policy, is that something that this commission will be directly involved with, or is it just, or not? Is the expectation that we show up to listen?
No, what Chair and Commissioners, the intent behind it is to provide feedback. Is staff going in the right direction? As residents that live in the community, how would you want to be notified of a project that's happening in your area? You know, what's the distance that we should appropriately mail notices to? If it's a conditional use permit, is there different requirements on different applications? So we're looking for direct feedback from the commission. And then ultimately it'll go to city council, then adopted into the zoning code formally at a later date. But we're looking for direct feedback and what you think as residents of the community. And so we can draft it accordingly.
Commissioner Timmerman.
I would like to thank you for doing the heavy lift on developing this and giving us the easy task of making it so. So I would like to make a motion to approve the 2025 Planning Commission work plan.
There's a motion, there's a second and a third. And so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Morosla. Next item on our agenda are updates. Our next planning commission is scheduled for February 24th, 2025. Are there any updates from commissioners? No updates. Are there any updates from staff?
Yes, sorry, I was just processing
Just
there.
trying to speak slow so you would be able to get back to your chair.
So at the last city council meeting, February 4th, I believe, there are two applications were approved. The Prince of Peace Columbarium was approved. Also, the UFP PACnet application for a PUD and a conditional use permit for outdoor storage was approved as well. So both documents have been provided to the applicants for signature and recorded at the county. That's it.
Very nice. Last item is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.